Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question, get moved to the top. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And I've been in the hobby forever, which 99.9% of these PokeTubers cannot say. And we are also giving away a complete master set of unlimited base set, Charizard included. So definitely check that out. I will have the post pinned for my Instagram and Facebook for that giveaway, and I'll have all the rules in the description. So definitely check that out. And we do have to give a quick thanks to our video sponsor, and that is COLLECTR. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I've tried every single one of them. They're always adding new features and cards, boxes, and everything. So let us know down below if there's anything you want them to fix or add. And honestly, it is a blast adding all your cards and your boxes to COLLECTR. Even if you do not have a big collection, you will be surprised on how much value you actually have. And then the biggest reason why I love having COLLECTR is you have your collection in your pocket then. If you're at a random card show or card shop, you're not sure if you have that card, you can just go check COLLECTR and see what you got. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. Then, of course, you guys want to try out PSA for your first time, click the link, use the code BEER25, you get $25 off your first submission. Just got to use a new email for that every time. And same thing with Tag. Click the link, use the code BEARD102, you get 10% off your first submission. And I know you guys love What If Wednesday, so if you guys want to ask me questions live in the chat, please download the FANATICS Collect app. It's completely free. And every Thursday and Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, I post my Falling Friday and my Market Monday super early for you guys, and you guys can come in the chat and ask me whatever questions you want. And we do a giveaway every single live stream. But just think of it as basically a live What If Wednesday in the chat, and you get to watch my Market Monday and my Falling Friday hours before I post on YouTube. So definitely check that out. I'll have all the links in the description. But all right, first question. This is from @Sleeper_Station. Hi, Pokebeard. I'm thinking about buying some Destined Rivals to invest in long term. I've never bought anything too expensive to invest in. Do you think I should go for the Destined Rivals ETB or the half booster box or the full booster box? Thanks. So let's check out some products. I'm way more of a bigger fan of the ETBs or the booster boxes, so I probably would not go for the half booster box. We just don't really collect those here in the US. So I know for a fact that they can take quite a while to sell. I have a buddy who has a decent amount of them that he's been trying to sell of a bunch of different sets, and they take a while. So checking the 6 month on the regular ETB was at $276, but that was just for a little bit. It was at, $200 for quite a while. And now last sold 123, 113, 117, and this ETB is starting to level out, as you can see when you click this 1 month. Hasn't really gone too much, went down to like 119 and then kind of back up to 120, 121. So not a bad purchase, and I can't see it dropping too much more. I'd love to get this ETB at $90, but 120 is so much better than $260. Now the Destined Rivals booster box keeps dropping. So this was at $615 3 months ago. The 6 month high was $645. Now last sold $419, $430, $413, $399. Probably had some pretty high shipping. Now, when boxes are dropping in price, I love to just watch them if I'm like super serious about it and obsessed. I literally check them just once a day quick. And a lot of times, you want to buy this at $415. You wait a little bit longer, you might be able to, grab one at $390. Same with the ETB. I can't see it dropping too much more, but as long as it's still selling for around $120, you might as well just watch it a little bit longer. It might go up to $130, and you might, miss out on $5, or it might drop down to like $105, $99, $95. You just never know. But the next card show I'm going to, I am 100% picking up a few Destined Rivals ETBs, and I am definitely going to pick up a Destined Rivals booster box or two because I need a few more for my collection for sure. I got a decent little amount when it first came out, really cheap, but then after that, it just went crazy, and I'm one who's super patient. Like, there's cards that I need, I'll wait years, because I know I'm going to be here, in a couple of years. There's a lot of newer people in the hobby where they're not going to be here in a couple of years. And then when you're trying to decide between an ETB or booster box, you got to think about it like this. Every store gets ETBs, Walmart's, Target's, every LGS. Booster boxes, you'll never find a booster box at Walmart or Target or any big box store. So I always prefer a booster box over a regular ETB. But now when we're talking Pokemon Center ETBs, that's when it's like close to a booster box because those promos are crazy. And it really depends on the promo too. But yeah, I think these are some great pickups, especially if you just watch them just a little bit longer. You might be able to get them a hair cheaper because you never know with this market, and getting something $200 off on one of the best products, not a bad idea. Next is from Mark Wiener. Hey Beard, repeat question. What do you think of the Kanto Starter Cosmo reverse holos from the Costco 151 mini tin box? They seem similar to the Mewtwo reverse Cosmo from the Mew V box that exploded this past year. They're actually in a product that is priced a little higher than the Mew V box as well, although there are 4 of them compared to the one Mewtwo. So let's check them out. Here they are right here. So here's that Mewtwo that he's talking about, $29. It is a pretty sick Mewtwo though. Like the art is definitely top tier for, just your basic holos. Now we got the Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, and Pikachu. Looks like Bulbasaur is the cheapest, of course, at $2.86. And Pikachu and Charmander right around the same price, about $5.50. I think at those prices, especially being, the Costco exclusive, they're not just going to print these thousands and thousands of times throughout the years. I definitely think these are solid pickups, and they're really, really popular Pokemon. And I'm going to guess they're probably pretty tough to grade being, reverse holo promos. So I think at those prices, pretty safe pickup. I love buying cards when they're just a couple dollars because, in my opinion, it's the safest thing. Worst case scenario, they go down in price a couple dollars and you just lose a couple dollars. And most of the times, they do end up going up eventually. So love those cards. Next is from Aiden Murray. Hola, Senior Beard. I have a question for you and would love to hear your thoughts. I'm looking at collecting the 10th movie promos and PSA 10s. I think the arts are very cool, especially Lugia, and that they're being slept on. A few of the cards are only $200 to $300 in 10s, which seems crazy to me for 20-year-old cards. I'm currently sitting on a Bubble Mew and sealed gray felt hat Pikachu. I do like these cards a lot, but with them being modern, I felt like it might be smart to sell high. What do you think about selling and trading these for the movie promo cards? Thanks as always, and keep up the amazing videos. So I'm actually pretty big fans of those cards. I have the Mewtwo and Lugia Raw. I'm going to complete the set. It's on the list. But the Jirachi here, $299 in the 10. Mewtwo and Lugia are going to be pretty expensive at $835 and $800. Darkrai's $350. Mew $950. Latios combined is $1,125. Celebi's $430. So yeah, a lot of them are still very, very affordable. Especially when we're talking, 20-year-old cards, like you said. But I do wish the pops were a little lower. Like the Mewtwo has a pop of 2,000 in the 10 with 3,300 total graded. So not super difficult to grade. I wish they were, 1,000 or less or 500 or less. But if that were the case, it'd be, 5 times as much money. But I like stuff that's just so much more unique, especially if you want to complete this in all PSA 10s. I think that would be a crazy and very impressive little collection. I love little PSA collections like that instead of just random slabs here and there. I like that so much more. So if you plan on completing these in a PSA 10 versus having the Bubble Mew or the gray felt hat, which, everybody has, I like this a lot more. And I do think there's a little bit more upside for these, since a lot of them are still very affordable and a lot more unique, which this is the type of stuff that has been going crazy lately. Just wish I had a lower pop, like I said. And I know the Bubble Mew and the gray felt hat are some of the most popular Pokemon ever, so if you do like those cards better, I think they are pretty good holds. I think they're just going to keep going up and down. Just depends on what the market's doing. If the market is super hot, those cards will stay very high because there's going to be, at least 20, 30,000 people that want that card. But if the market truly cools off, like I'm not even talking like this summer, I'm talking truly cooling off where everything is just crashing, then those cards will drop a ton because there's a decent amount of them on the market, especially that gray felt hat. That card just blows my mind. That pop is so high, but it holds crazy good value. And then the biggest thing is collecting what you like. If you think this collection would be a lot cooler than having a gray felt hat Pikachu and Bubble Mew, then definitely go for it. It's going to be a lot more fun too. Next is from @OnlyTCG. Hello, thanks for answering my last question. I really appreciate it. I sold at a show last weekend and had a question about a light Jolteon card. I couldn't find pricing information, so how do you usually look up card values? If you can find a card, is eBay a good alternative? I sold mine for $45. It wasn't first edition, but it got a lot of attention. It was in very clean condition with little to no whitening or scratches. Did I price it fairly? Well, let's check it out. So for modern, obviously TCG Player is going to be your best bet. Now for vintage, it's definitely hit or miss. It's been getting better, honestly, but I just always like to double check. But a lot of vendors, I'm going to say half the vendors, price their cards just at TCG Player, even if it is vintage. And you can check up top here, filters, unlimited first edition. And then you could also do near mint, lightly played. But last sold for this card on TCG Player in unlimited near mint condition is 76, 75, 74, 78. We got one at 125 with no picture. Again, it's kind of different for vintage, especially with no pictures, because someone's near mint could be someone's moderately played. So you can check that, But then yes, you can go to eBay and you can check last sold. So this one just sold for $65 or best offer. You can use the site 130 point to see what it actually sells for when it has that line through it. I think it was like 53 bucks or something. And you can look at the card and compare. So right here, so pretty clean card. We got some whitening down here in the corner, but not too bad. So that's the way that you can really compare, especially with vintage. It takes a lot longer to look up vintage than it does modern, but that's what I like to do. And I actually like to look at pictures and compare. Now, if there's just absolutely no raw card sales, I know a lot of people hate this, then you actually have to look at, PSA prices. Like, let's say you think this is going to be a PSA 7. Don't ever just sell it as a PSA 7. I would always, price it at like a PSA 6, under, just in case, because you're never sure. I see a lot of people, they think it's an 8, so they'll just sell it at an 8. You cannot do that. And again, I'm talking for more unique cards where they don't have a ton of raw sales, especially in that condition. We actually put these cards on a list, I think like over a year ago, when they were actually really, really cheap for Unlimited and First Edition. These are some of the best non-holo cards we got for that, Neo era. They're just so sick. But yeah, I think you undersold it probably a little bit. And I'm guessing that's why so many people, were interested in it, especially these cards now in PSA 9s and 10s are getting really, really expensive. So even if it was, a PSA 9 quality, not PSA 10, it could be worth a lot of money. Next is from @Ziffles. Hello, Wisebeard. Do you think the first partner promos will be a good hold in a 10, or will the pop be too high? So the pop is going to be pretty high. I'm sure there's a ton of these at PSA right now. The total PSA 10 pop for the Piplup is $5,600. Total PSA pop is $6,800. They're only asking $80 or best offer. These are absolutely beautiful cards, but I do wish they were slightly tougher to grade. I do think getting them all sequential would be super, super epic in PSA 10s, especially if you get all 3 series. I think that'd be insane. But these cards are going down and down and down. And once they do get pretty cheap, like the Piplup right here, $80 or best offer. I love seeing when they have our best offer because that means they're actually negotiable. And a lot of times these cards will drop even more. So if you can pick these up for super, super cheap, I think they're a decent hold. Like I said, I just wish the cards were a little tougher to grade. But I would not pay super high prices for any of these. Maybe the Gen 1s, obviously, because those are going to be the top dogs. But I think if these drop a lot more, I think they are very solid pickups in PSA 10s, especially if you can get them sequential, because that's just going to help them get that little premium. Next is from Home of Ash. Beardibus Prime. I am thinking of keeping some steel product to open with my children one day, since it will be out of print by the time they are old enough to enjoy the hobby. Is this something you are thinking of doing with your kids and steel product? Absolutely, but we're just not touching the good products. And that's why I always pick up, a lot of random collection boxes and stuff like that if I get it for MSRP. I'd rather spend that money on, UPCs or Pokemon Center ETBs or booster boxes. But if I'm getting it at MSRP, I know it's going to slowly go up. And I won't care about opening that box in the future nearly as much as, an ETB or booster box. And then I'm also much more likely to, be down to trade or do whatever for those collection boxes and those random, products that don't have the best promos in them, stuff like that. But I got it at MSRP. So yeah, definitely have a nice little collection that we're going to open when they get older, and they really appreciate it. But right next is from Adam C. Hey Beard, what do you think about the new Mega Era versus the old Mega Era? I think art of the new Mega is a little better, showing art of the characters cleaner in my opinion. So yeah, I like this new Mega Era a lot more. The original Mega Era, card-wise, was not the most popular. There's a lot of people who hate those Megas, and they're not my favorite either. Like, I literally collect every single era because I've been collecting my whole life, and I do not have a ton of Megas. Like, my 3 favorites are the Primal Groudon and Kyogre and the Mega Rayquaza. Those are like the only 3 that I actually have in my collection. But this new era, absolutely beautiful, beautiful art. That Mega Lucario is just so sick, one of my favorites. I'm loving like the Mega Charizard and what they're doing with that. So I'm a big fan of the Mega Era. I know it's getting a little bit of hate because we got those 3 smaller sets, especially 2, not the most popular Pokemon in them, and card-wise, a lot of people are starting to complain about the arts being a little messy and kind of full art-like. But in my opinion, comparing these new Megas to the older Megas, I like these new Megas a lot more. Even the Mega Attack Rares, I like them more than basically anything we got Mega-wise from the original Mega Era. Next is from Lion Den Collecting. Hey Beard, I was wondering what your thoughts are on Prismatic once it goes out of rotation. Do you think we'll see a surge in prices across sealed and graded raw like we did with 151? Well, it really depends on what the market is doing. If the market is still nice and strong, yes, I do think Prismatic will have a nice little bounce once it goes out of, rotation and out of print and stuff like that. But it's not just like the day it goes out of print or rotation, we automatically, see prices go crazy. It takes a little bit, and we can still definitely get, products, from Prismatic, even though it is out of rotation. That happens constantly. I think we just got Sword and Shield products not too long ago. All right, next is from Ash Ravi. Hello, sir. Wednesday is my favorite day for your content. Then I better see you on the Fanatics Collect app. Your question is, what grading app do you prefer or use to assess a card's potential grade? I'm new to the hobby and would really appreciate your thoughts. So I've actually never used a grading app because I've just been in the hobby forever. So, that was never even a thing. If anybody does know of a good grading app that can kind of pre-grade your cards, that's been pretty solid for you, let us know down below in the comments. But I just eye it. You just got to make sure it's centered well, that border that goes around, front and back, and then just look for whitening or any dents or anything like that. And as there's like literally no whitening, you can maybe have one little speck in one corner now because PSA is getting kind of strict. And then if it's centered pretty well, to where it's not like, 40% on this side and 60% on this side, then you have a really good shot at a PSA 10. And then just always remember to, check those PSA 10 prices, especially right now. It's very expensive to get your card graded. If the card's worth $150 in a PSA 10, probably not worth it to grade it right now, just because it's going to cost you $80 to get it graded. But if they're bigger cards, $500 or more, then, it's going to cost you about $80 to get it graded anyways. And if you are unsure of like what an actual PSA 10 looks like, you can go look on eBay and stuff like that and find one that's an actual scan of the card and look at the front and back, and you can see the centering. You can see like how much whitening they're going to allow just to get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. Next is from Colton Hines. If you had to pick one of these bad last 3 sets to stock up on, which one would it be and why? So probably Chaos, because we got Greninja as the mascot. You got, 2 Greninja chases. So it at least has that. And there's some beautiful illustration rares in there also. So my vote would probably be, honestly, Chaos, Perfect Order, Pitch Black. And I know the Perfect Order is kind of a hot take, but I think having Meowth is slightly better than having a Darkrai. I think Meowth is just so much more popular. So that would be my 3. Next is from Dead Cinderella 1. Hey Beard, the wise, magnificent, and speaker of the one true Poke Truth. I am just getting into vending and I am wanting to know your thoughts on the coming year. The big rumor on the rumor mill is the new US printing facility is going to take off. And for vending purposes, I think I'm going to offload as much of my position in Modern as possible and move into Vintage and Mid-Era. If I stay with Modern, it's going to be cheap IRs and the cheap SIRs. I have a feeling sets like Ascended Heroes are going to be in for a massive dip, just like Destined Rivals in March, April, if I had to guess. Thoughts on this strategy? Thanks as always for the great content. I can't wait to meet you at a card show. So honestly, not a bad idea. I do think it will take a little bit longer for that printing facility to get up and running to like really make a difference. So you might have a little bit more time than you're thinking. But I like the idea. Anytime you can trade in like Ultra Modern for stuff that's a lot more rare, not a bad idea, especially if it's clean, mid-era or vintage. Try not to get modelly played, damaged stuff. It can take forever to sell. But, keeping that illustration rare and that SIR binder with those cheaper cards is another good idea, especially a lot of people going to card shows. That's what they're looking for. They're trying to finish master sets. They're new in the hobby. That's what they love, especially the more affordable stuff for kids. And then you got your high-end stuff. So yeah, I think that is a pretty solid idea. And then you're just being safe in case the market does truly come down in price. And with a lot of these cards, they are pretty high pops. And people act like this is impossible. But we've seen Modern crash hardcore after a boom. PSA 10s that were $1,000, you could pick them up for $250. So it's definitely possible for sure. But all right, next question is from Unvaulted Collector. Dear Mr. Beard, I bought a couple sealed promos like the Bulbasaur box topper and the NZAC round from Ascended. Do you think they are better kept sealed, or should I try opening them to see if they have grading potential? Would keeping promos sealed be better for long-term value is the heart of the question. So yeah, if you do not plan on grading them, definitely just keep your promos sealed. Maybe not the newer ones that come with like the super thick cardboard and stuff in there where it's like this thick. I hate those. Those I've been opening because they just drive me nuts for like storing reasons. But if you do plan on grading them and they look really nice in the front, you can definitely pop them open and, save them for when you're going to go get them graded. But otherwise, just keep them sealed because, for Ultra Modern, not a big price difference between raw and sealed. But as that card starts to get older, people will definitely pay more for a sealed copy. Especially a lot of times people just kind of assume it's going to be a way nicer copy in that, sealed protection, even though a lot of times it's not. So yeah, just definitely keep them sealed. Next is from Ethan B. Hey, Pokebeard. So I am in the process of master setting White Flare, and I have also already fully mastered Black Bolt. I've been eyeing the PC ETBs for both to add to my collection, as I think they're both just really good sets and potential good holds for the future. I was seeing if you agree or if I should just leave the ETBs out of the collection. Thanks for the help. So I'm a really big fan of like getting the sealed products to go with the master set. Now, if the Pokemon Center ETBs are a little expensive, you can always get like the art sets of the sleeve boosters or the regular ETBs, but I'm a big fan of that because then also too, when you go to sell it in the future, if you do ever go to sell it, it kind of spruces it up a little bit and makes it a little bit different. Just be like, yeah, I have the master set and I also have the Pokemon Center ETBs that go with it. And, you know, maybe you get also the sleeve packs for them too, just to add to the collection. And I wish I would have did that for vintage. I just did it with the art packs, but I wish I would have did it with the booster boxes. Just back then I didn't have that much money. All right, next and last question is from @Jeremy DeBrave. Hey Beard, I've been fortunate and my collection has done excellent this year in terms of gains, and overall I'm up about 5x. I've been considering shifting some of the profits in traditional investments such as Roth IRA, HSA, etc., so I can continue to enjoy collecting while being an adult in terms of investing. So I think it's a great idea. I love, variety. Especially if you did make it a decent amount this year, you can take half those profits and put it in all those other things. So that way you got stuff cooking everywhere. It's just going to make you feel better because you never know what's going to happen. If you have everything in just one thing, it's just definitely brings the risk up a lot more. But if you got a little bit of everything spread out, it's just so much safer. And they might not do as good as Pokemon for some stuff and, some years, but they will definitely still do great. Just takes a little bit longer and it's more steady, but it's a little less risky too. So not a bad idea. But all right, that was this week's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content and want to stay ahead of the market, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like and comment. If you guys want to support more, check out my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube membership, all that. You guys know what to do. You guys are the absolute best. Definitely check out that base set giveaway. Thing's crazy. And then I would love to see you guys on the Fanatics Collect app, especially everybody that watches my What If Wednesday. We only have 375 followers on there with maybe 20 to 30 people live in the chat. And like I said, we do a giveaway every time. So your odds of winning are like crazy good. So definitely check that out. Of all the links in the description, like I said. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my newest Market Monday, click the video above. And if you guys want to watch any of my other vending videos, I have an entire playlist above also. But all right, we'll see you next time.